Alright, let's see. This is a video about Casey Simpson. Gen Alpha still can't read.
I'm gonna take you back to the hallowed days of elementary school, when you and your friends knew it was gonna be a good day because the teacher rolled in that dusty, bulging TV and you were gonna watch a movie. Even if it was some weird educational or Bill Nye Schoolhouse Rock movie, it was gonna be a good day. The kids today can't even watch a movie. All right, they don't consume plot-based media.
I have a sister that was born in 2012, and I was trying to connect with her. I was like, "So girl, like, what's cool on the Disney Channel these days?" She looks me dead in the eye and goes, "I don't watch plot-based media."
Plot-based media? That's just everything that isn't TikTok. We're at the point where kids are learning the 6-7 meme before they're learning the numbers 6 and 7. You will have kids who don't know how
Plot-based media. That is like the entire of the media, isn't it? But I guess they're now referring to what we call doom scrolling. That's the thing, doom scrolling. I guess they're all like short skits. I guess I've been falling for that a lot lately too. I don't really watch a lot of plot-based media these days either, because I've just been busy. I get to work, do my work, get home, shit post, and then I don't really have much time to watch anime even. Now what even are the kids' excuse though? What are their excuse? I can say for sure that kids these days are not going to be able to watch Lord of the Rings anymore. If I remember correctly, Lord of the Rings is like 3 hours long. It's been a long time since I watched that movie. And when I watched that movie as a kid, I didn't know what the hell was going on. All I needed to know was that I watched some people kill each other. That was fun. So in a sense, I did watch plot-based media, but I did not really watch it for a plot. I just watched it because it was entertaining. Is that the same thing? We were watching different things, but we didn't really care. At the end of the day, we didn't really care what we watched, right?
to count. And they're learning how to count, and as they learn how to count, they find the number 6 next to the number 7, and they just explode.
6, 6,
No, 6.
7, 6, 7.
But this stuff, it's not just... But this stuff...
Where did they even get that from? Why are you encouraging him?
It's not just amusing, it's nefarious. We have reports from educational foundations that not only can Gen Alpha not read, not do math, not speak English, but literally their IQ is falling. Until now, every generation's IQ has increased. That's what's called the Flynn effect. Until today,
what effect?
Studies now find a 12-point gap between Gen Z and Gen Alpha, which can be the difference between being a little slow and having Down syndrome. The Alphites have 30% lower attention spans. Only 30% of 4th graders can read at grade level. Half of these elementary schoolers rely on AI for their schoolwork and only speak in brain rot. We're on the eve of destruction. But the researchers try to make us feel better. You know how? The Alphites have better than expected spatial reasoning skills because of all their time in Roblox. Are you kidding me? That's what you've got to make us feel better? It's like,
spatial reasoning
about that Ted Bundy guy, but he knew how to fix
what does that mean?
Like, that's the upside here. But the actual upside is since IQs have been always rising over time, and for the first time they're dropping, that does mean Gen Z is the peak of human intelligence. Thank you. Thank you. I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules. Teachers are complaining they have to dumb down the curriculum just to push kids through to the next grade.
We are having to dumb down curriculum to get these kids to where they need to be, and they're not getting there. I promise you. And I'm not the
Why?
only saying it.
Why do you need to do that? Just fail them. Make them take a class again.
I'm not even trying to be funny, but these kids are... I'ma just say this. I teach 7th grade. They are still performing on the 4th grade level.
They are so
Bro.
used to having a device in their hands at all time that when there comes a time there is no
Holy
device,
shit.
they will just start playing it
Kids are
with
fried.
their thumbs and their fingers in the air as if they do have a device in their hand.
Kids can't follow
Huh. You know, it's not too different from me when I think about it. When I was a kid, when I didn't have access to my video game because I was outside, I was just pretending I was playing a game then. I think my life was pretty fucking cooked. That was in the 90s. I was very addicted to video games, and if I didn't have a game, I just pretended I was playing a game. And yeah, I was still using my imagination, but my imagination was always swayed towards video games. Now see how that turns out. Now I'm sitting here. I don't even play that many games anymore. I'm drawing tits.
basic instructions.
Having to teach and work with you guys as children has been the most traumatic experience of my life.
Traumatic? How bad is it?
5-year-olds ballet. They don't respect any authority. You ask them, can you stand in your designated spot? They're telling you no and shut up. And another thing that's heart-wrenching is horrifying. Your 5-year-old daughters are asking to listen to Pound Town. I'm playing them
I'm sorry.
Tiana
Pound Town?
ballet music.
I don't know what that is, but that doesn't sound good.
Can we hear Pound?
Everyone I know who wants to have kids,
Is this
regardless
crime?
of their other politics or economic background, all agree on not giving them screens until they're like 45. What's crazy is we've got a whole professional movie agency who tries to protect
You know,
kids
that
from
sounds a
hearing
lot
bad
like
words
it's the
by rating
parents who
movies
doesn't give a
PG-13.
shit.
And Gen
That's
Alpha slang includes like
that doesn't sound like
yacht,
technology. That
thinking
sounds like
about a lot of
parents.
more mature
That's a parent
subjects
problem.
when they're 6, and it's just part of their vernacular.
If Georgia's like, I have a bigger yacht than you, I'll be like,
What is a yacht?
Excuse you?
What? What on earth
I'm
is a
sorry,
yacht?
what?
A yacht?
A yacht! So, a yacht? It stands for girl.
Oh, let me listen to that again.
Be like,
What is a
be
yacht?
so free with it.
What?
Holy shit, they sounded so confident. That's an interesting tone. Like, they're shocked we don't know what it is. I think she knows, though. I think she's just pretending. Just to see the reaction. But damn.
What
Brain rot, boys!
What?
A yacht?
A yacht! So, a yacht? It stands for girl, your
Yo.
booty thick.
Seriously, things have gotten.
I actually don't know what yacht stands for, to
Gen
be
Alpha
honest.
has
I just heard it. I just know that it means for
hyper-stimulated
ass, but...
versions of Okay, so think about Mr. Beast. He is just
Girl,
a
your ass
hyper-stimulating
sick.
version of old game shows. All the brain rot sexual terms like Giot is just a hyper-stimulated version of actual sexual terms older people use. All the kids shows they watch on YouTube, and this is the one that hits closest to home for me, are hyper-stimulated version.
Oh, so the
of
kids are just
real
imitating
kids
what
shows,
we
like
have been
on
saying.
Nickelodeon.
Really?
You watch
Is
these
that it?
YouTube kids shows, they get tens of millions of views, and you can clearly
Oh,
see
that
they're
sounds
just,
pretty
like,
normal, actually.
non-verbal, more colorful, more gimmicky versions of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, of Henry Danger, of iCarly, of Hannah Montana. All the brain rot,
Oh,
fights are
Hannah
speaking
Montana,
is literally
iCarly. Oh,
melting
those are
teachers'
childhood
brains, and they just
shows.
can't take it anymore. A lot of them have quit.
I'm a middle school teacher, and I will tell you, by far, we are doomed.
This is the first generation to have their education, their entertainment, oftentimes their company, because playdates are way down, outsourced to like Kai Cenat and Mr. Beast and Twitch streamers and TikTokers. And it's like these kids have no inner monologue. They have no internal life, no human experience. They're just sort of receptacles for brain rot and screen time. Listen to this one girl's experience having a Gen Alpha.
They don't have any
I
internal
had a Gen
monologue?
Alpha kid as my server the other day, and this is how it went. Hi, sit wherever you want.
No, no, wait, what?
Hey, how's it going?
Human experience. They're just sort of receptacles for brain rot and screen time. Listen to this one girl's experience having a Gen Alpha waiter.
I had a Gen Alpha kid as my server the other day, and this is how it went. Hi, sit wherever you want.
That can't be real. Come on. Really? Oh, are we sure that's actually what's happening out there? I have not met anyone like that. But maybe it's just my area, but this sounds weirdly exaggerated. I don't live in America. I don't know.
Hey, how's it going?
It just doesn't.
order?
It's gotten so bad that
That
Sam
doesn't
Altman,
sound
big
real.
daddy of ChatGPT,
I can't believe
says
this.
he doesn't know how people
No way.
raised kids without ChatGPT. Well, I can tell you, Sam, a lot better than they're doing now. A photo went viral of this Alphite at a nice restaurant, completely going full iPad kid, eating her spaghetti, watching.
What do you
How to
mean you
Train
would
Your Dragon
hire
live
someone
action
like
or
that
whatever. This is
as a
just
waitress?
The tip of the iceberg. Kids are more muted today. They're less enthusiastic today. They're less agentic today. And one area I can really speak about this authoritatively is entertainment. TV shows in the 50s were very much like real life. They weren't that exciting. You could watch a show and have it feel like your real experience. There wasn't a bunch of fancy colors and jump cuts to keep you engaged. People would have long attention spans. The TV shows were honestly not that different of an experience from reading a book. Then you get to the 80s and things get more colorful, more gimmicky, more cartoonish. And finally you reach Dan Schneider and the Disney and Nick shows of the 2000s where you get kids
Oh no,
playing
Dan
catch up
Schneider.
and
Oh no.
doing cartwheels and crashing through buildings and being set on fire. All to keep kids engaged and watching. And so these YouTube, TikTok entertainment shows for kids that they're growing up on now, where it's like literally just a bunch of like colorful cartoon characters of like a 6-year-old getting thrown in jail and then him breaking out inside of a melting lava house. It's just a bunch of colorful, shiny objects to keep 5-year-olds' attention. It's the culmination of what started with the sitcomification of shows like Father Knows Best and The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet in the 50s. We've reached the full hyper-reality, the full postmodern hyper-stimulation, distillation of just the most colorful, flashing lights, lowest common denominator that started with real TV shows and real content and real stories 70 years ago. What's the final extension of shows getting more and more cartoonish and less like real life, just focused on keeping your attention?
I don't know how shows were like 70 years ago. But I grew up with Disney Channel. And I must say, when it came to cartoons on Disney Channel, it was just all adventures. But here's something I'm noticing now, and I'm thinking back. Shows that were not cartoons, like Hannah Montana and, well, Nickelodeon from Dan Schneider, as weird as it was, I did enjoy those shows. They were not adventures. No, they were just sitcoms, and they were all just looking at people failing miserably at their life. Also weird, different. And they came at completely different times too. It's interesting that I noticed a pattern. But there's something else to notice too. Back when anime came out, that's very different. Sure, Pokemon were around and that popularized anime, and that was all about adventure. But adventuring in Pokemon is like, it's kind of consistent. Unlike the Disney show adventures. Yo, Radajan, how are you? You know what we should do? We should mandate that every kid watch, I don't know, watch Pokemon or watch Sailor Moon, right? Watch some anime. They have a good story, they have a good plot, and they often teach you a lesson. The boys can watch, I don't know, Pillars of the North Star and get some manhood into them, get some moral, fight for the good, and the girls can, I don't know. I think Magical Girl Show would be a good fit for them. It seems a bit childish, but a lot of Magical Girl Show had a lot of good morals, good values. I haven't watched what do they call it? Precure. I have not watched that, but I hear a lot of good things about it. And it's still running today. Maybe it'll do them good. But no, I guess we all just watch TikTok. Why not?
TikTok. Now our
Oh, TikTok.
entertainment
There we
is
go.
completely removed from how we live our life. Scrolling to see the next dance or political rant or dog video is putting your source of entertainment and pleasure as further and further removed from your practical life. So your practical life seems boring by comparison, even if it's subconscious. Even what YouTube used to be, like the YouTubers I grew up on, Niga Higa, Smosh. I mean, they had like
Oh,
kind of stupid
wow, he's
comedy
from
sketches
that area.
sometimes.
No
They
way.
they had a story. They had something going on.
Higa
They had
Higa.
characters that would
That
come
was
back.
good
Now
shit.
you just have like these colorful moment-to-moment dopamine
And
hits
Smosh.
that don't
Smosh is
extend
back,
into
right?
any kind of
They're back again.
substance. Therefore, it's no surprise that kids can't hold long conversations or even socialize among themselves without resorting to brain rot or some kind of high-intensity game because we've brought them up on quick flashing lights. My friend tried to ask his Gen Alpha cousin like how his life was like, if he was enjoying school, and he just didn't have anything to say. No observation, no feeling about it, not good, not bad, and he kind of said 6, 7, and it was funny, but it just masks the fact that he doesn't have any like...
Sounds like me, actually. Except from the 6, 7 part. That kid sounds like an adult. No joy in life. How was school? I don't know. How was work? I don't know. I'm just trekking through. I'm earning Monday. Are kids becoming adult much faster? Ooh. Grim world, eh?
opinions or feelings or like internal felt experience that he has access to. A number of historians believe that humans as they existed 20,000 years ago weren't conscious. To clarify, of course they were literally conscious, but what we mean is, you know how when you were a little kid you might have some memories of some sights and sounds and people you knew, but you didn't have like a bunch of opinions about it, or you didn't really feel like you were a full person going through the world like you do now? It's in that kind of way, where they were still conscious and aware of archetypes and people around them, but they didn't have this first-person, agentic, continuous stream of consciousness and specificity of experience that we have now. It would have been a consciousness that was in kind more passive, and our consciousness would be in kind more
I never heard about
active.
that.
And some ancient religion scholars theorize that the Bible, the Old Testament, is sort of the story of man becoming conscious, right? You start with these more allegorical, broad stories like Genesis, and then you reach toward the end of the Bible and they're more personal, journalistic narratives and characters that seem like someone you'd meet on the street rather than like a more mythological figure that you see at the beginning of the Old Testament. So I think we're reversing that trend for the first time in human history. I think we are starting to become less conscious. I think we are becoming part cyborg, and maybe it culminates with Gen Z as experiencing the world,
cyberpunk.
but I think we're sort of going back in time to like 10,000 years ago, where we were kind of more just smart animals going through the world without that real consciousness. I know I'm not saying like Gen Alpha are zombies. I'm just saying they're starting to go in the zombie direction. Okay. Going back to how
we're not there
entertainment in Gen
yet.
Alpha has so
Okay.
evolved. There's a meme that encapsulates this.
We still have ways to go.
We used to have sort of boring shows and kids had a strong internal life, and now you have really colorful shows so the kids don't feel the need to use their imagination at all. Kids have outsourced creativity to YouTube, and the viewers are just these passive receptacles for what they're watching. And to preempt the old man shouts at cloud comments, yes, there have always been stupid trends like what's up? What's 9 plus 10, 21?
What's 9 plus 10?
21.
Or what does the fox say? Or treating gingers as human beings. Just think about the Alphites you know. Like,
Okay.
I know a couple
Our
Alphites,
brain
they're
rot
just
was
less
so much
gregarious
better,
than I remember kids
right?
being. Everything around them is so overwhelming and overstimulating that they don't need to create any excitement of their own from inside themselves. Just think about it. Like, I know this is sort of a bold claims I'm making in these videos, but think about like the early 1900s. We all like sort of know the stories of kids in like Brooklyn in 1912 or in the Depression. They would all get outside and play stickball and
Oh yeah, kids back then didn't have much shit to work with, right?
They had no other form of entertainment. They made these games, and I know when I was a kid, I invented like superpower tag, and I would do these weird maze games with hula hoops because you have to figure them out and make them from yourself, and you have to work with other kids that way. I don't know if I...
Yeah, as I mentioned before, when I was a kid and I didn't have much to do, I was just pretending I was playing a fucking game. Well, and sometimes I was pretending I was the character of the game and just ran around like a dumb fuck. I was not very good at making friends. Well, when I was among friends, I didn't do that because I had them do things with me. I had them lead the way and I followed them. Like doing pranks, turning off the street lights. I never led anything. I just followed around. Yeah, it was fun though. It just shows that I was never the creative kind. So if I was left alone, I would just be staring at the wall, pretending I was doing tough stuff, I guess. I feel like I'm not too different from the kids these days. I mean, probably better than they are now. I feel like I can see a lot of the kids now. Because I feel like I was very close to what they are now. I don't know if many people are feeling this way.
I would have ever made any silly games in like a backyard with my friends if we had heroin, you know, if we could just inject heroin all day. And I think similarly, if we had like some hyper stimulating VR worlds, I don't know we ever would have stopped to like go lemonade, crunchy ice, beat it once, beat it twice. Does anyone remember that? Like those kids in Brooklyn in 1912.
I never heard about that. What's that? Is that a game?
K-pop Demon Hunters remix skibbity version. My point is that we've reached the edge of the cliff. It can't get much more intense than this beyond like VR and AI versions of what we're already doing. So now is our chance to turn the car around or keep driving off the edge. Ask the question about the limit case. Is there something wrong with a 6-year-old plugging into the Matrix and for weeks at a time going into a virtual video game world, has very limited interaction with anyone who isn't like his mom or dad, versus a kid who completely eschews technology and goes out and plays with kids and invents their own games and reads books and interacts with a bunch of real people who's excited? I think we all know deep down there's a difference there, even if, like, for the first year they have the same dopamine levels. But we're essentially
it is true that if you are pressed,
as fast as we possibly can.
If you are pressed for something, you develop the ability to overcome that. So basically, if you're bored, you would find a way to overcome the boredom.
We discovered like soil was wet. And,
so if you're not bored, you're not challenged, then you're just stuck, not developing your ability to be creative.
Until, you know, starting at like 1800, it laid the groundwork for the Industrial Revolution. Similarly, philosophy has been an interesting field for unemployed college kids. But now, we are entering the world where what your life is going to be so dependent on the choices you make. In the past, what your life was depended on the technology at the time. Now, every kind of virtual life is going to be possible. So whether you want to live in the real world, whether you want to interact with real people, or whether you just want to drone and zone
waifu lives everyone.
It's up to you. And so your
I'm gonna get myself a VR waifu.
And by that I just mean like what you
I bought a VR headset.
Most when you have these options seducing you is going to determine your entire
my
life
life
in
ends
a way
with me.
that philosophy has never been this practical and useful before, to say nothing of the lives of your kids. It's going to depend on your philosophical commitments, whether you want to outsource all your thinking to AI or if you want to actually think for yourself as well. Sometimes, on Tuesdays. Look at this kid watching some Mr. Beast Fortnite video at 80 times speed. You notice that he's just passively receiving it? He's not laughing,
excuse you?
Or whether you want to outsource all your thinking to a Fortnite video at 80 times speed.
Okay, but why are we allowing this? Why are you letting him do this? It's the one who's filming. Why is the one filming this letting this happen? What the fuck? Jesus.
You notice that he's just passively receiving it? He's not laughing and dancing or freaking out. Oh my gosh, Mr. Beast is going
What kind of
speed.
What kind of video was that anyway? What was he doing? What was Beastman doing?
All this content is just nonsensical. There's no substance.
Was he
no
dancing
story.
or?
It's just about the next weird trend or meme.
I don't
don't
get
think,
it.
like, we can get beyond this. We're at a time for choosing. Gen Beta is either going to go down Gen Alpha, but worse because it's all going to be in VR. Or we're
okay, I don't really follow the whole Lincoln thing. What the hell is Gen Beta? What's Gen Alpha?
Before, but now we're forced to. And this is not just the
what is Gen
Alpha? Every generation feels about what's going on with the generation after that. Things are different in substantive,
this millennial
ways. Think about this.
Gen C, Gen X, Gen Y, where those things begin. And why are we doing Alpha, Beta now?
Parents like, oh my gosh, my daughter's way too into Justin Bieber or One Direction. Yes. but they knew who Justin Bieber and Elvis Presley were. Today, parents have literally no idea who their kids' favorite celebrities are or who they're watching. Besides like Mr. Beast, there are like so many niche YouTubers and kids shows on YouTube and Twitch and TikTok, to say nothing of like teenage content, that parents have no idea who they are. I learned who iShowSpeed was like 2 weeks ago. I also think about how Gen Z had slang, right? But just it was never like unintelligible and as numerous as Gen Alpha slang is. In 2010, you couldn't have made a whole video trying to get boomers to understand what Gen Z is saying, right? Gen Z might have said, your eyebrows are on fleek, or slay, or besties.
We are the Besties Club on Fleek because
What the fuck is
like maybe
fleek?
a couple words a boomer wouldn't understand, but Gen Alpha going Ohio, skibbity, yokel, riz, giot is just incomprehensible. And why is there such a stark delta between how Gen Alpha has like a whole language that's incomprehensible and Gen Z had a few terms here and there? It's because Gen Z wasn't as fully online from such a young age constantly, and having that as the medium of communication with all their friends all the time since they were like 4, that Gen Alpha does. Like Gen Alpha's brain rot makes YouTube poop look like Citizen.
Actually, you don't know.
Okay,
Of
though
course you
every now
don't
and
know.
then they'll actually
You got it live, I think.
Afraid.
Because 789.
No, because he was right in the middle of 9/11.
The brain rot of Gen Z, if you can even call it that.
No way he came up with that on his own.
Like Gen Alpha's brain rot makes YouTube poop look like Citizen Kane, okay? Though every now and then something fun.
Why was 10 afraid?
Because 789.
No, because he was right in the middle of 9/11.
The brain
Jesus Christ. That's good. That is so good. Why have I never heard about that? If the kid came up with that on his own, we still got hope. We got hope. We still got something to grasp onto, okay? We're not completely lost.
rot of Gen Z, if you can even call it that, like 9 + 10, or a potato flew around my room, or what does the fox say, or the cup song, whatever, it was tied to something real. Like, if someone old didn't get what we were talking about, they could watch the Vine, what's 9 + 10, 21, and they'd be like, oh, that's kind of funny. And they'd know what it's coming from. No one even knows where 6'7" came from. And if you do look into it, it's like Lorenzo Ball's height for 2 seconds.
6'7".
It's not actually anything substantive. And you go back to past generations, you might repeat a movie quote, you know, like you're gonna need a bigger boat or something. It's
honestly, I don't even care about 6'7" much. All I know is that it makes people angry, and that's enough for me.
They're just like literally memes of themselves. They're not even derivations of anything real and substantive. And all the games, we would often play a lot of games in the real world. Patty cake, concentration. Now the Alphites are just going on Roblox. And since they became conscious during lockdowns, they started playing games with their friends remotely. But that stuck. And now Gen Alpha has this childhood.
I suppose that's a point. Kids these days don't really play
we had some of that with like
games
Xbox,
outdoor anymore, huh?
a lot of us have
They
these
grew up with
childhoods
Minecraft and
where you all,
Roblox.
even video games, play with a bunch of your friends for hours, in person, Just Dance, Wii Sports Resorts, even a DS you would play with your friend in person. But Gen Alpha regularly has a childhood built around playing with people who aren't even in the same room as you. And I don't think they're gonna look back fondly on those memories alone in their room, playing with their friends, the way that we can look back on doing the Monster Mash with a
I miss
bunch of your
playing
cousins or
Super Smash with
whatever,
my
all together for
friends.
hours. Another piece of evidence on how, and I'm literally
I never had that much of a
right now,
chance.
just because of all this is like such a big
Not
deal.
many
On how
people
Gen
play
Alpha's
games in my
inner
area.
internal monologue is sapping away is how many of them don't decorate their rooms or have really any interests or hobbies, and they're just into makeup when they're 9.
That ready with me to go to bed.
Skibbity toilet roll.
What the f...
Anytime one of those weirdo creep Gen Alpha iPad kids walks up to me, it always feels like they're about to molest me. And they always say
What?
the most
The
out-of-pocket
fuck?
things you'll ever
What do you
hear in your
mean?
life. I still remember when I was in like 8th grade, bro, still in middle school. I remember a bunch of 7th and 6th graders that would just randomly walk up to me, people I've never met in my life, and just ask me like weird shit, like how big is your dick, bro? Hey, bro. Hey, how big? Hey, that ass is fat, bro.
I swear, like Gen
What?
Alpha's priorities are so
Do kids say
misaligned.
that?
Some of them are being nostalgic for COVID lockdowns. Some of them wish they lived like
Hold-
Gen
what?
Z in COVID lockdowns.
No,
Is
no,
this what
hold
we've
on.
come to?
There's no such thing as evil people. Just ordinary people who do bad things because they're
There's people who wish they was still in
The
a cold.
lockdown
No,
was
wait.
not fun, okay? They said you're
They
gonna
are
experiment with online
jealous of
classes,
people
you'll be
who
gone
have
for 2
experienced the
days,
lockdown.
Then it became 2 weeks, and then that became forever. And when you had lockdown,
Huh.
if your class was at 8:30, you'd get up at 8:29, go on Zoom, turn off
I
your camera,
guess I can get
go
it.
right back to bed. But then you realize you slept through the end of class.
Yeah, I just had to say that the lockdown did not affect me at all. That's because I'm an adult and I'm the kind of adult who rarely left my house unless I really needed to, like getting food. And I also lived in a very remote village or some bullshit, so we weren't really affected by COVID that much. But most of the time, I was just alone. I didn't give a shit. I was having fun on my own way. You know, and the COVID didn't bother me that much. What I am jealous of are people who capitalize on it and are blowing up today because they blew up during the COVID. You know, all those VTubers, yeah, cashing in all that whole shit. Oh, damn. You're not gonna get that anymore. Content creation, man. That was life.
And you go back on your computer and it's 35 minutes after class and it's just you and the teacher staring at each other, and then you quickly just log off Zoom without saying anything. And then you go to another class and the teacher's sad, no one's turning on their camera, and then you watch Anthony Fauci on CNN and play Among Us at night and Animal Crossing, and then go wish your friend a happy birthday from like the car. It was awful, okay? But for Gen Alpha, it was the era of Charlie D'Amelio and Lil Huddy.
Ooh. Oh my god, what the?
And when everything was
What is that sound?
Okay, Christian, your word is gonna be table. Can I get the definition? Are you serious?
I swear, if I see Gen Beta kids romanticize the Gen Alpha brain rot because their VR brain rot will have gotten so bad in 2030, I will kill myself. This video that's trying
No,
to
you can't say you killed yourself on YouTube video. No.
good thing, you know, you can say about how Gen Alpha is living is, oh, they're good with technology, but they're not even good with
No, they're not. They're fucking not.
use computers, okay?
They don't know how to use a folder.
Absolutely all of them are completely computer illiterate. They only understand how things work through apps.
They even brain rot their own consciousness, okay? There's like a kindergartner playing on a playground who literally goes, POV, you're a kindergartner playing on a playground. What the These kids will become voting age and legal adults in 4 years, okay? 4 years. And this is all without even mentioning that AI is going to become
America's
more
fucking
and more
cooked.
powerful and
Holy
make
shit.
it easier for these kids to avoid writing or thinking.
You
or
guys
doing
need a
anything
test
themselves. They
for
won't have to
voting.
spend any willpower
You need
to
a
write
test for
an essay
voting
like
rights.
the Zoomers had to back in the day when there was no Gemini, and if you wanted to be anti-Semitic, you had to do it yourself rather than asking Grok. You know, 50% of students now, in some cases, are using a learning disability to get longer time to take tests, and at this point, you could really say anything to get a learning disability to take longer tests. Like, you could say you don't know the difference between Alcatraz and Azkaban prison, and they're like, okay, double your time. You know what, triple your time. Universities have been closing down, college enrollment is on the decline, every professor doesn't know how to handle AI. By the time Gen Alpha gets to college,
Okay, but to be fair, nobody really wants college degree anymore.
in college. Studies have demonstrated that online messages are getting shorter.
The fucking
less
employers don't
substantive,
give a
and more
shit.
brain-rotted. The guy
They
who
don't
predicted
care.
this all was Marshall McLuhan. In 1964, the
They
Canadian
become
theorist
useless
coined his
papers,
famous
I
quote,
say.
"The medium is the message," where he explained
College used to be
that
good.
change mediums that we consume media through. In his time, it was watching TV instead of reading books. We will not just be getting the same information in a different way. The way we watch it, the way we consume it will be different, and that will fundamentally affect how we perceive it. So when people started watching TV, subconsciously, they started to believe, by dint of their actions, that how things look, how things are presented, are more important than just getting the most amount of factual information, like you.
I'm starting to believe I was fucking cooked as a kid. I hated reading books. I didn't even read light novels. I discovered manga at a very, very early age. Yeah, I didn't even read comics. Comics sucked. Those weekly Donald Duck shit. To me, the Donald Duck was kind of Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, those magazines. I didn't like them because they were not consistent. As I mentioned before, mangas and anime, they were consistent. You drop it once, you can pick up the next book, the next story, and keep going. Those Donald Ducks, Marvel box, you read it once, you open the next issue, you don't know where the fuck you left because it didn't make sense. It didn't matter. You start a new story. Because there were like 50 different writers on those books, right? The worst case for the Donald Ducks and Mickey Mouse books is just that they don't even live in the same house. They don't live in the same colored house. They don't even have the same neighbor sometimes. As a kid, that really bothered me. I never really bothered it. Okay, I'm going a bit of tangents. We're talking about books. The only books I read was Harry Potter. I read all 7 of them. Weirdly enough, I managed that. But you know why I read them? Not because I wanted to. Because that was a school assignment. I was supposed to read something. And then write my opinion about the book. I have to say, I didn't know shit. My imagination was not very good. I had slightly interesting time reading books, but I would have preferred not to do it. I watched the movies instead. Yeah, I was pretty damn cooked as a child. Ooh. I think I'm Gen Alpha. I'm Gen Alpha at heart.
You would get if you read a book. A famous iteration of this is if you look at the 1860 Lincoln-Douglas debates, every back and forth speech is like hours long and it's all so literary. You fast forward to the 1960 debate with Nixon and Kennedy on TV, and suddenly it becomes much more about presentation, less about the facts. And finally, you look at the 2024 debates, and it's all about snippets, and they're eating the cats, and what can go viral.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating
I remember this one.
the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dog.
Was that ever actually true?
Candidate for governor in Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, supported trans rights but didn't want to say that directly in any kind of video because she knew it would be clipped and held against her. She literally can't say a sentence because it's going to get clipped everywhere.
The argument is, the assessment is, there needs to be much clearer guidance.
Oh, it's going to be so much worse now that AI is around, right?
Assessment of Title IX versus what has been a decision of a court.
What?
When everyone was reading, no one would be worried about getting a sentence out of context. So the medium is the message. And think about what kind of medium Gen Alpha is growing up on. 3-second clips, people getting canceled, scroll as soon as you can, hyper reality. If something doesn't maintain your attention, just go to the next thing. And that's how they're seeing the whole world. Whereas you can imagine someone growing up on a book where you would spend weeks on one story would have a much different approach to interaction with the world. Like, even if kids were watching Shakespeare TikToks, the fact that they're watching in these short, like, attention span friendly 7-second clips would give a very different experience
TikTok Shakespeare.
to someone who read something that was much worse than Shakespeare, but read it in a book. What's even more insidious about TikTok and Instagram Reels as a medium is you're not even choosing what to watch. It's completely decided for you. You are just the passive recipient. Even someone growing up on YouTube like me, like you would still have to click on a video you
don't get to decide anymore.
And let TikTok
we decide what you want to watch.
Content. And you're also
you don't need to think anymore.
So you're constantly ready to scroll to the next video if whatever you're watching is not interesting for 4 seconds. How are you ever going to read a book or get to know somebody if every single second that you're with someone or doing something has to be extremely captivating or you move on? The TLDR is Gen Alpha's cooked, and if you're Gen Z, you should feel so grateful that we are the peak of human intellect. Okay. I know I'm literally becoming insane as this video progresses, but people aren't seeing this, and we're at the brink, and we need to take stock of what's going on right now before we can't, and no one can think at all anymore. And no one's conscious. I just had a scary thought. I bet there's some Gen Alpha kids watching this. Oh my gosh, am I that old? Hey guys, you probably don't know who I am. Well, How's it going? Welcome. What do you think? Do you think I'm wrong? You think the kids are
Just
alright?
say 6'7".
If you do, think about the Gen Alpha kids in your life. Do they not match the description I'm saying? Maybe they don't. Let me know. I'll be responding to every comment. And thanks to our patrons, Bob, Eric Guy, Matt, Rasmus, Amal Economics, MV Keaton, Nicholas, Tito, the Shadow Firewolf, Jay Minton, and Kendall K for helping make this all possible.
I don't know how the kids are in my area.
If you learned something from this video,
The Gen Alpha kids, I don't really know. I don't make a habit out of going around talking to kids. That's not gonna happen. My brother has a kid. I think he is in the Gen Alpha category. I don't see him much, but every time I see him, he's not being a brain rot, so I think he's gonna be okay. And my brother is a little bit traditional. And I have a friend who's also got a kid. That should be a Gen Alpha range. Yeah, he's Gen Alpha. And that guy, he is very traditional. So I think the kid's going to be fine. And he's very good at holding the kids accountable if they do some dumb shit. He will punish them. Yeah, I think his family's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. This is what happens when you live in a remote area. You're going to have a very traditional family. They still uphold their values, for the most part. There are some who don't. I would be lying if I said not. If I said that every single person in this town is a smart bunch. For one, I'm not a smart person. But also, I have heard stories about how annoying some of the people here can be. Yeah, I think our place will be fine for at least 2 generations.